is an interesting question to answer because I rarely know what actual service I will be offering until I meet with the people who've come to have therapy with me. In general, I would say that I offer therapy for individuals, for folks in relationship, and for families who need to be able to sort out some kind of communication or relationship situation that they are currently experiencing.
So I offer several different modalities. The primary modality that I would use right now is called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So it's a very long title for a therapy that is unique in the therapy world and quite flexible. So it's a type of therapy that can be used for trauma, for anxiety, for depression, and underneath this umbrella term of EMDR, we use lots of different other types of therapy to help regulate, resource people, help them meet their goals. So I would weave in aspects of cognitive behavioral therapy, creative techniques, somatic techniques. Really, the therapy I offer is not one size fits all. It would be a collaboration between us to figure out what techniques work best for you, what feels most comfortable for you, and then we go from there. Although I would also like to add that when I talk about what I do with folks, I do talk about the modalities, but I really want people to understand that the most important part of therapy would be our relationship and our fit. So in addition to these specific techniques, what I hope to offer people is a soft place to land, and by that I mean a place to feel connected, a place to feel accepted, a place to sort through whatever they're bringing to therapy.
So I offer talk therapy. I use a holistic approach where I mainly use person-centered approach that lets the client have more control and really guide the sessions. And then I also use attachment theory and narrative therapy. And I like that because they look at past experiences that can contribute to an individual's self-concept, and narrative therapy lets the individual reframe their past experiences through their own unique lens.
I offer Reiki healing sessions and Theta sessions as well. Reiki is an energy healing modality, and Theta is also energy healing, but is a little bit more talk-based.
Craniosacral therapy is a light touch therapy that releases deep tensions within the body. So it involves working with the central nervous system, the craniosacral system, which involves your brain and your spinal cord, and your fascia, which is our connective tissue network throughout our body.
Yeah, so the general process is come in, assess. We would come up with a general idea of what we'd like to look at, what you'd like to look at, as well as also exploring what does change look like to you? What would you like to see different? How would you know that that change is actually sort of beginning to happen? And that looks different for everybody. And then we would sort of look at a way to set that direction.
I use your breath to exercise your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being. More simply, I use different breathing patterns, elements of talk therapy, and music to help my clients go into a meditative state. Our breath carries energy, and so we often keep things in our body, and in order to bring them out, we use our breath in a lot of different ways to move that energy. So a lot of times different visuals, sensations, stuff like that can come up, but it's all perfectly normal and a safe way to bring a sense of peace and to let go of the things that are holding us back.
So as a holistic nurse coach, I will view the client as a whole person, and which means looking at the physical, mental, spiritual, and energetic systems. I will also be using holistic coaching theories and models to help the client achieve their goals.
A client will come in and we'll get to know each other, and then we'll set goals for what they want to accomplish during the counseling sessions. And then after that, I help facilitate the dialogue that will kind of guide them through the journey.
So with the use of neurotechnology, I provide training for the brain to function at its optimal best performance level. It allows the central nervous system to reset so that the client can function at their optimal best performance level.
I assist clients with making changes in their life, whether it's goal setting, career changes. So coaching is goal-oriented and forward-thinking. We don't spend a lot of time going too far back into the past. It's more about moving forward and into the future. We can do that with several different modalities. One of my favorites is visualization.
So those that are coming for craniosacral therapy usually come and see me for a variety of issues with pain and generalized dysfunction within the body. So that might look like as follows. Those that struggle with migraines, low back pain, head and neck pain, any type of tension within the body, concussions, post-concussion syndrome. On an emotional level, I will see those that are seeking therapy for anxiety, depression, attention deficit disorder, to name a few. There are a variety of reasons that people come for craniosacral therapy, and it really is a whole body approach.
Clients that will come to me are often experiencing high levels of stress or have experienced high levels of stress, whether it be trauma or otherwise. And often these stressors have affected them in a negative way in other parts of their life. So that could include pain, illness, injury, interpersonal relationships, their sleep, their diet, and also a lot of these times these clients have felt like they haven't been heard by their current practitioner. They have felt unsupported, dismissed. Simply, this is often because the practitioner doesn't have time, or they have a very linear way that they'd like to treat them, and it just doesn't work for that person.
Different symptoms and issues. So sometimes I'm meeting with clients that are struggling with mental health, such as anxiety or depression. I have a special interest in working with clients going through grief and loss. That could be through the death of a loved one. That could be the loss of an important relationship through divorce or breakup. That could be loss of a job or loss of health or function through illness or disability.
Clients come to me because they want to see a change or an improvement in some area of their life. I say there's 3 reasons why people would come to see me. One, they want to add it on as an addition to their talk therapy. It just helps them move through their therapy quicker. Secondly, I've had clients come to me that just don't want to talk anymore, but they're not experiencing the change that they're wanting or needing. So neurofeedback really helps with that. And thirdly, clients that are functioning actually really well already like to come see me to tweak their performance level. So for example, athletes or musicians. Clients come to me, as I said, seeking a change or an improvement. So it could be anxiety level, stress level. They're feeling overwhelmed. They can't focus. They can't sleep. Maybe they're not interested in their partner anymore. They're sad. They're grieving. All of these emotions, and they just can't seem to get beyond them and function at the present moment and feel joy in their day. So they, some people function right now, they feel like they're in a tornado and they just want to feel calm again.
Clients come to see me when they are feeling a little bit stuck in life. Perhaps they have some limiting beliefs that we can release and set some goals to really to connect and get in touch with what they'd like to accomplish.
Bring a lot of different issues and symptoms when they come to see me. Sometimes they can be, they might have pain, or they might be feeling imbalanced or blocked. And what my job as a energy practitioner is to help them feel unblocked, help them feel whole, and really just start them on a good path towards healing in the future.
Because I believe in it, I think is the best way to put it, is that I've seen it work in my own life and other people's lives, and it satisfies both my intellectual and relationship curiosity, and it gives me meaning, and it's it's hard to say. It's just, I think it's just what I do.
I believe that we don't heal in isolation. I believe that we heal in connection with others, and everybody deserves to have a space where they can be listened to, heard, seen, and understood, and supported in the changes that they want to make in their lives.
The currency of my life is love and compassion. Simply put, I do this work because it allows me to share my currency best in the world.
Several years ago, I myself experienced craniosacral therapy and the power of release within the body from a mind, body, spirit level. I had myself a lot of physical issues with my head and neck. So I had a lot of positive results with craniosacral therapy, and I wanted to bring that to my clients.
Why do I do this work? Good question. Why do I do this work? I really value the privilege to be able to be present with somebody who they may not completely trust me yet, but like that they trust me enough that I can be there to support them, and not to tell them what to do. I'm not a fixer, but to be able to be curious. That's a big one, to be curious, and to acknowledge what they're experiencing, and to recognize how valuable they are. And so why do I do this work? It also comes from my own experience in the struggles and the pain and the trauma that I've experienced, and the work that I've done and still do to this day. And the benefit, for me to be able to experience that, I really would love for others to experience that as well, if they so choose. There's many other therapies out there. Talk therapy is just one of those many supports.
I do this work because I feel that it's very needed. I think that all of us at some point in our lives could benefit from therapeutic services and talking to someone and getting guidance, and I myself have utilized services. And so for me, I think that being able to give that back is important. And it's a very rewarding and fulfilling job that I enjoy.
Because it fits really well for me. I really love being with people and learning about people. I've always been curious about the stories that sort of shape our lives. And so I think my natural curiosity keeps me interested in the work, and I just like being with people one-on-one.
I do this work because there's a lot of medical systems, or the medical system, that they're designed to deal with the crisis, the immediate situation, and whereas with the work that I do, it can be preventative, and it can also complement what they're doing with the doctors. Like, I'm not saying don't see doctors, no. It's essential that if they need a doctor, it's recommended that they see a doctor. But I've had cancer patients who, through Healing Touch, were able to work together to get rid of the chemotherapy in their system that creates so much discomfort in their body and affects the body differently. Same with reflexology. Reflexology is good for that as well. So yeah, it's good for maintenance as well as wellness, and complements the Western medicine as well as other therapies. Both of them. All of them. All three of them.
What brought me to this work was noticing violence against women, to be transparent with you. I had a few female friends of mine, all of which were being stalked and had domestic abuse issues. And I sort of had an aha moment as I was talking to my female friends about their experiences, and what sort of drew me to it next was the lack of support for men in the world, that a lot of men were struggling with issues, relationship issues, how they move through the world, anger issues. And I was curious to know how to be able to support men to be healthy, happy, in their lives, and obviously address some pretty destructive behaviors. And that's where it started 25 years ago. And I ended up actually getting a degree in women's studies and criminology, and then I got a degree, master's in social work. I also have a diploma in HR because I do a lot of workplace conflict stuff as well. So yeah, that's where it started. And the more I got into it, the more I enjoyed it, the more I liked it.
What brought me to this work was my sort of relentless curiosity about people, combined with my own experiences as a client, my own healing work, and just a genuine desire to do something meaningful for work.
I began to experience my own health issues, and I went to my healthcare provider, and although it was somewhat helpful, I found that my needs weren't being met. Things were just treated very linear and followed a very strict protocol. And although it helped maybe for a little while, it was either somewhat effective or not effective at all. And so I got frustrated and started to seek alternative solutions. I educated myself in holism and learned so much more about myself and my own complex needs, and decided to become my own advocate.
What brought me to this work, to be honest, I think I was in my 20s and I wanted to be a therapist, but I thought you had to get your stuff together before you could. And then when I learned that you work on yourself, and you're going to always be working on yourself while you're supporting others, then I finally took that leap and decided to get the training. And it actually excelled my own work that I was doing. I just have a real passion and love for being able to hopefully create spaces where people feel held, not in a enabling way, but held in a way where they feel heard and validated and acknowledged.
It's a very a different route for me, I guess. For several years, I would attract people towards me, and just they like sharing their stories and their challenges and issues with me. I didn't really understand that before, but going through the life stages, I felt compelled of, I really feel satisfactory when I am able to help people navigate their challenges in life. So during COVID, I made that major decision to release from the military, pursue full-time education as a master's counseling psychology student, and now hoping to do a career change to counseling.
What brought me to this work is my own experience when I was younger, not having somebody to stand in that gap and to help process through things that I was going through, and seeing also that people in my lives really needed somebody who was professional to step in, to mediate, help guide conversations, and help get to the root of what was the issue between family members, and mostly family members. I was going to say friends, but usually family. So I saw that gap, and I felt like it would be really important to have that kind of service available to people. And so here I am.
Before becoming a therapist, I was working in what I would say are therapy adjacent fields, and I just wanted to know more. So I started doing the training, and it felt like it fit for me. And I would also say that the community that I grew up in really prioritized and emphasized helping professions, so that was probably a factor in me becoming a therapist as well.
Two very distinct things keep me passionate about this work. Number one, the absolute genius of my clients, their willingness to lay down their burdens in a safe space and in a guided way. And also the opportunity for lifelong learning. There's an infinite road on which I can travel to best meet the needs of my clients and to constantly be learning new ways to join with people to help them relieve their own suffering and then elevate their life experience.
I think that there's a lot of conversations and dialogue around vicarious trauma and the risks of burnout and things like that as professional helpers. And I think that sometimes we miss the opportunity to think about vicarious glimmers and, you know, how lucky we are to really kind of bear witness to the resiliency and the strength and the internal resources of our clients. And so I think showing up and being able to sit across from individuals navigating, you know, many different transitions and the complexities of relationships and just life has been a real honor, and it's something that really brings me back every day, and I feel quite lucky to be in this role.
Just an incredibly dynamic practice. It's constantly learning, it's constantly talking to people, and just being allowed in people's lives has been a really profound thing for me. The beauty of breathwork is that every practice can be so individualized and so different. No practice is ever the same, and so people really get what they need from it, which is a really beautiful thing. And so for me to be able to meet them where they're at and provide them with a different type of healing that maybe they're not used to, and being able to kind of connect them with themselves.
There's always something new to learn. There's always a new kind of therapy to be trained in. There's tons of research that keeps coming out about the nervous system and how we can regulate our nervous systems, and how trauma impacts our nervous systems as well. So there's just always something to learn, and I'll never stop learning.
The people I work with. When folks that I work with see progress in themselves, and I can see them making their story of their life what they are hoping that it will be, that's what keeps me doing this job.
Seeing the change and the shift in my clients. You know, they come in here wanting to be here. You know, it might be a heaviness from, you know, high anxiety, overwhelmed, stress, sadness, that type of thing. And as they train, they get this aha moment where they're like, wow, like I've never felt this way before. I've never felt this calm before. And it's in that aha moment that like fills my heart. It's like giving the best gift ever that you could give.
Seeing a lot of success. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna walk with you no matter what happens in your life, but I tend to see a lot of success and a lot of people turn their situations around. A lot of things happen that people couldn't see down the road that they had any hope of recovery, and I see it really consistently. And so that really motivates me and makes me feel like this is a good thing for me to be doing, because I want to see that happen for everybody just like it happened for me. And I know that in my recovery there were definitely people who said I would never recover, who gave me a ton of labels, some accurate, some not so accurate. And so I see the system of labels as something that's very helpful in funding. It's not always really helpful in actual recovery. It doesn't, to me, matter so much what the label is. It's really about how do you work with the symptoms that you have. And maybe it's about uncovering more about how that happened or what that's about, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's just working on symptoms. So I think there's different levels and layers to healing depending on life circumstances and where you are in your journey.
I always all my clients, all good therapists have therapists. And so of course, I've had great therapists over the years, many different therapists actually for different reasons at different times. And I think that's partly how I've learned what it feels like to be in good therapy and what it feels like to offer good therapy. So I continue to get my own support. I continue to seek consultation and benefit greatly from both of those things.
Therapy specifically has taught me a lot about who I am and who I want to be, and given me tools to move towards that person, but also taken some of the pressure off of being able to do it at my own pace.
Most recently, I really needed that professional expertise, and I just didn't know that I needed that extra tools, and I just didn't know how to navigate that issues that I've had experienced in the past. And with that professional help giving me that awareness that there's something within me that I can use to work on those challenges. So therefore, it really became influential for me when someone was willing to listen to me and just were very patient in navigating those challenges that I've just experienced in my life.
The helping profession has helped me work through my own life transitions, right? Relationship, family, work, life traumas, anxiety, depression, grief and loss, right? I'm living my life. These are the things that are going to happen to me. And along my transition, or along my life transition, I've met some wonderful therapists who have provided me with the skills, the education, the insight to help me move forward in the direction that I want.
I've been the recipient of helping professions and my family and friends, and I think it's really important in overall health and wellness for a person to feel as balanced and as whole as possible. And I don't think just one avenue is the way to go with that. There has to be something to nourish your mind, body, and spirit.
I'm really passionate about a mind-body connection, a holistic approach to therapy, and I've accessed many services over the years, other helping professionals, everything from individual therapy to Reiki, to brain spotting and EMDR. It's been immensely beneficial in my own life, in my own journey.
The helping professions have been influential for me. I wouldn't be where I am without having seen a therapist for quite some time, and I still see a therapist because I think that mental health is as important as physical health, and seeing a mental health therapist is kind of like going and seeing your doctor. You go more intensely when you have a physical ailment, and then you go every once in a while for checkups when things seem to be going along pretty smoothly. Therapy has helped me through a lot of past experiences, and then helps me kind of stay on a steady road, or helps to when I check in and kind of get some guidance, and I'm able to just process through things with somebody who's independent and objective in the situation. Therapists are so different from having coffee with friends, because they are objective and they do have different ears and eyes when they're in the therapy room, and they see things from a different perspective, and they're supposed to challenge you and help you to grow and point out patterns. So all of that has been really influential. I feel like I wouldn't be where I am today without that.
Well, I really struggled with addictions on and off, and certainly I've had professionals give me just like psychoeducation, which has been tremendously helpful. If somebody had tried to treat me without giving me psychoeducation, I would never have, cooperated with any of it. I wouldn't have understood it. So I think that, they've been really instrumental that way. I know that I, saw an IFS therapist, and that really changed my whole world in only 3 sessions. This person is the reason that I finished my Bachelor of Social Work. And even before that, I had therapists who just planted little seeds little seeds of like, you can do this. This is trauma. This makes sense for you somehow. You might not have all of the story. You might not know the whole picture, but you have pieces and there are parts of you that are well and well enough to move forward. I was thinking of Angie Jantz. I think she used to work at Stepping Stones. She was one of my therapists early on, and like without her, I'm sure I would have died. And so it was really like what therapists have done for me have just been amazing. And then I've had other therapists who we've done a lot of reparenting techniques and a lot of really basic self-regulation, like from the ground up work. And depending on, you know, when you've seen me in my life, you may not really recognize me. You may think like, is this the same person? Is this person on medication? Like, what is the difference? And it's been grueling, and it's definitely, for the people who want to take medication, I have no problems with that. But I've really tried to do the really grueling work and continue to do it. And when I see people that have, you know, trauma or other things going on, it's just really, it means so much to me to be able to notice it, but also to be able to intervene, because it's something that is, unless you're really looking for it, can, you know, look like opposition, can look like defiance, can look like, you know, and people so often accept their labels as their identity. And I think that just slows down the whole process of healing. And it makes it confusing, because you're in this loop of constantly trying to follow directions that might not get you where you need to go. And so some of these other techniques bring that in, and it doesn't make it go away, but it gives you...
My clients are amazing people. I love working with all people, particularly youth and young adults. I think that's a really important period of time in our lives where change is inherent, and so I really enjoy that piece of things. I work often with people who work themselves in helping professions, so educators, healthcare providers, first responders are all folks whom I find I work really well with. And what I really enjoy is exploring the intersections of people's identities and the way that those influence our pathways through life. And as I said earlier, all backgrounds of individuals are welcome.
My clients are going to be adults, 18 years of age and older, working through their own life transitions and discovering who they are and making meaning in their life. I don't use the word recovery, because once you've been through a life transition and it's been somewhat torturous, to use that word again, I don't think you will be the same person. You need to discover who you're going to be, because maybe the recovery, it might not be working that way. So my other, as well, in keeping with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, I acknowledge that my relatives settled here in Treaty 1 territory, and it's my responsibility to be an ally and an advocate for Indigenous people. As well, Manitoba is known as the cultural cradle of Canada, and I look forward to working with and learning from our diverse population of immigrants and refugees moving to Manitoba. I promise to provide the same empathic curiosity to everyone to build healthy connections with my I promise to provide empathic curiosity and healthy connections to all of my clients.
The beauty of breathwork is that it applies to all living beings. So I have such a different variety of people that I work with. I've worked with kids in elementary school, just learning how to, calm their breathing. I've worked with singers to help them and their performance. I've worked with the elderly to help them with longevity. I've worked with athletes to help them with endurance and recovery processes, but who I work the most with is people who are seeking to heal, and that can be a pretty broad topic, but people who are seeking to just move through and kind of let go of some things that are holding them back.
Clients are brave. My clients are pretty incredible human beings, I would say. I feel pretty honored to spend time with a lot of people. I mean, the truth is people are incredibly beautiful, and the fact that they let me share some of those really scared places with them is just real courage. Yeah, they're young, they're middle-aged, they're old, they're men and women and everything in between, and they might be scared, they might be lost, they might be happy, they might be sad, they might be sick, they might be healthy, they're everybody.
First and foremost, they're the bravest, I would say. It's really never easy to ask for help and even acknowledge that we need that help. And I believe they are very courageous to really just have that first step of reaching out to someone. And for me, that's how I see my client, is very courageous, and it gives me that motivation and drive to work alongside with them, because I know that they trusted me with their own stories and experiences in life, and that's really very I'm really grateful for that.
Outside of the office, I love experimenting in the kitchen. I love trying new recipes. I am a mom to two almost grown men and two very spoiled bulldogs. I love spending time outside. I'm trying to learn to garden. This year was not a success, and I love to spend time curled up with a good book.
Life like with me outside the office? Life's pretty good, actually. Surrounded by some good friends and family, and have a daughter, and she keeps me busy. I try to have as much hobbies as possible. I'm getting into woodworking a lot more and renovations, that kind of stuff. I'm an outdoorsy, puttery kind of person. And I think this is post-COVID. So one of the things I am kind of rebuilding a little bit is a little bit more about, I'm reestablishing my community again, now that it's post-COVID, and trying to kind of reconnect with some of the people that I've just lost naturally through COVID. Maybe not lost, but just maybe more distant through COVID. So it's been good.
Outside of the office, I practice yoga and meditation. I love comedy. I love going to live shows, comedy shows or music. I like to read, get lost in a book. And the people in my life are really important to me, so I like to spend time.
In the office, I'm a mom of 2 teens and a Bengal cat named Lily. I really love to be active and do movement that I find therapeutic, so that can look like yoga, walks in nature, going for hikes, biking, anything that feels good. You can also find me connecting with other people, so going for walks, having coffee, connecting and building relationships.
Life outside of the office, I have a 4-year-old boss. He really challenges me in so many beautiful, wonderful ways that just bring me joy and make me laugh at myself. And makes me laugh. So I spend a lot of time with my grandson. I love to, I actually just recently started to just find great joy in cooking. And it actually tastes good, like surprised. No more Kraft dinner, not that I could eat that anymore, but yeah, just cooking for, cooking for myself, cooking for my niece, cooking for my son and his family. That's just recent. But what I'm hoping to do is to get back into hot yoga. That's something that's on my to-do list. Maybe I'll do it now that I've said it out loud. Yeah, it's just right now it's just family, and I also absolutely love traveling, whether that's here in Canada, North America, across seas. I love traveling.
It's very full and abundant. I spend a lot of time in nature. I love to paddleboard and swim. I snowmobile. So the bulk of my time, the most of my time, I try to spend outdoors. I love to travel. I love to learn and take courses. I'm quite addicted to going to school now, it seems. My teachers from high school would not recognize me.
I like to work, so I do lots of projects. So reading, watching sports. I love sports, so if I could go to the Jets games often, I would be there, and not so much a Bombers game because they're so loud. I'd rather watch it on TV. So that's what I like doing.
Outside of the office, I have 4 kids. I can hardly call them kids because they're youth, but they're not really children anymore. And then I have 2 dogs. I like to meet with friends as often as I can and socialize, have game nights, go for coffee, try to get out and go for walks with my dogs when I can. And in the summer, spend a lot of time outdoors, soaking up as much vitamin D as possible.
I love Yalom's quote about the inner work of the therapist being a perpetual act. I think it's really important for those of us who do this work to walk the walk and to continue our own self-discovery and evolution as humans. I would never ask a client to do something I haven't done myself, and so that is why that quote is relevant for me.
Is the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. That means that often I think we bump up against all of these things that we might not like about ourselves. Our inner critic is really strong and loud, and we work so hard on trying to change things without the piece of acceptance first. So I think it's important to work and just accept where we're at, and that it's okay to be where we're at. There's no right or wrong way to be a human. And so if we can accept that, then that's when the change actually happens.
You'll never be able to escape from your heart, so it's better to listen to what it has to say, from the book The Alchemist. That idea of your heart not being particularly good or bad, but just having something to say and needing to be listened to kind of drives a lot of my work and my curiosity into and guiding the questions that I ask in session.
One of my favorite quotes that has ever been told to me is that when you know more and you learn more, you do better. And I think that's applies to a lot of folks on a lot of different pieces of their life. A lot of the times we just need to keep learning and working and growing, and as it comes, we are able to do better for ourselves.
That's hard because I have a lot. I actually have like a folder of quotes. So what I'll go with is what sticks out for me right now, and one of them that's like a neon sign is my pain is my power. I just think, when we talk about pain, it doesn't necessarily always mean that it's a bad thing, but that pain, whatever it is, that down, further down, that you when it's not there anymore, it's actually something really powerful and amazing, and it changes the way or shifts the way that you see things and experience things.
Light comes from Audre Lorde, from A Burst of Light and Other Essays, and the quote that I have to read is, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." And I like that one because I think that often self-care isn't something that we think we should be able to do, and people feel like we should be only helping others or be really productive. So I think that one is kind of revolutionary, and I also feel very earnest and and self-important. So I wish I could come up with a funny quote too, but here we are. It'll probably come to me at 3 a.m.
There's so many awesome self-regulation strategies. I would say for me personally, like as an introvert, I'd like to go for a walk alone with no podcast, nothing. That's very regulating for me. With clients, after we've kind of gone through this smorgasbord or toolkit of all the different things, what I find resonates really well with people is breath work. I particularly love a type of deep breathing that comes from yoga. It's called one nostril breathing. It sounds weird. I wish I could demonstrate it for you, but it's really effective and it's easy because our breath is always available to us.
For me, I find that I need to downregulate using a combination of strategies. So I have different playlists for different moods. If I'm feeling sort of on the melancholy side, I choose a playlist that's sort of chill, and then a movement activity that goes with that. So whether that's painting or doing some stretching. If I'm feeling more anxious or angry, I have a different playlist that's more upbeat, up-tempo, and I'll do a little bit more strenuous movement to combine with that. So I might be raking or shoveling, just pushing the vacuum around, but something to get myself moving, and also the auditory piece.
This is an easy one, and it shows up in my sessions frequently. It's a practice that comes to us from the renowned psychotherapist Tara Brach. It's a practice called RAIN. And so RAIN is an acronym. R is for recognize. So can I recognize what I'm feeling in the moment? A is for allow. This is the trickiest part and most surprising thing for most clients. Can I just allow myself to sit in this discomfort? That can be such a breakthrough for people, to not push away what's feeling heavy, rather can we allow it? I is for inquiry or investigation. Sometimes I think of Inspector Gadget bringing out all these devices. So can we do a lighthearted or calm, self-compassionate investigation into why is this feeling coming up for me so strongly right now? And just recognize what we actually need in this moment. And then N is for nurture. There are so many ways to nurture oneself, well beyond a bubble bath and candles. It can be reaching out to a friend, or making sure to sip some water, or having some body work to help relieve some of these things that we are carrying with us as burdens. So the practice of RAIN is my very favorite self-regulation practice.
Favorite self-regulation strategies is feeling that felt sense in my body. So I often will reach for deep breathing, and that'll be my initial strategy. And from there, depending on what I need to regulate, I will determine from there, do I need to rest or do I need to move my body? So often I do need to move my body, and I will stretch or I'll exercise, or I'll just shake things out, put on some music or dance. But I just really will tune into my body and see what's needed.
One of my favorite self-regulation strategies is a mix of different things because of my own ADHD. For myself, I use deep breathing methods in mix with very strict organizational skills. And by doing that, say having lists, checklists and whatnot, and taking time for myself to do deep breathing and somatic exercises, I'm able to keep myself regulated.
At the moment, I really enjoy being mindful. And I say at the moment because every day is so different and there are so many. So I like being mindful currently because I get to see the day. I get to enjoy being in that moment with that person. Other things I like to do is, for self-regulation, is using my 5 senses. So I like to smell for things. I like food, coffee, tasting, enjoying those moments where you're engaging in your senses. It helps you feel grounded in your chair and in the moment again to be with your client. Or just, even in your car when you're driving, tapping on the steering wheel and feeling the leather of the steering wheel can also be a sensory self-regulating moment.
Favorite self-regulation strategy is going into the bathtub with the lights off and just being in the tub. And I find that really, really relaxing, especially when I'm feeling overstimulated and maybe like I'm gonna get a headache or something. The other thing that I really like to do is to paint or do some kind of art. That's not always possible, but that always helps me.
The most important message for me, for people, not specific to people coming to see me, is just that you should cast a wide net, by which I mean spend the time consulting to find a really good fit in therapy for yourself. Because over and above any techniques, any training, or years in service, what really is going to determine how it feels to be in therapy for you and how much you're able to get out of it what you want is that fit, that relationship, the attunement, and just finding a safe place where you feel heard. So what I want people to know is that it's okay and they should spend the time finding the perfect therapist for them.
When you are coming to work with me for craniosacral therapy, I want you to know that you can come through the door as you are. When I am working with clients, my ego stays at the door and I am 100% focused on you and your body's wisdom.
That it's important for each of my clients to know that I will show up for each of them with the same openness and curiosity regardless of what brought them through my door. And the most important thing, in my opinion, in terms of healing and growth is the felt sense of safety and connection and understanding within the context of our relationship.
I would say getting started is often the hardest part. It's very normal and natural to be nervous about starting therapy. That makes sense, and it's okay. If you can push yourself to just show up, the rest kind of falls into place. So I would encourage people to go easy on themselves, and also to know that I'm not interested in fixing anyone. People don't need to be fixed, they need to be understood.
The message that I think that I just want to send is that this is a safe space for you to come and be exactly who you are. There's no pressure, there's no judgment. This is a space of transformation, and so just to be open-minded, to be curious, to have some fun, and it's a space to get to know yourself more than anything.
The most important message that I want people to know when coming to work with me is that you're not broken and you don't need to be fixed. Coming to therapy is not a sign that there's anything wrong with you. We're human beings going through challenging life experiences and enduring difficult things, and I believe that change is possible. I believe that hope is possible, and that together we can help build a plan to
support those changes and make you more resilient.
I would like people to know that with me, they will find their direction. And while doing so, I will be their ally. I do not use a one-size-fits-all approach. We all have different sensitivities and life experiences. And so I promise to always give you choice. And if there is no choice, I'll explain why there's no choice.
I'd like people to know that this is a process and be gentle with yourself. A lot of people imagine that healing will take place overnight, but it's really tuning into the micro shifts day by day, consistently, giving ourselves a little grace and tuning into the present moment.